So, welcome everyone to Otaku News Live for the 1st of January 2011. It's going to take a while to get used to that. And I'm here with Matt from the Life and Tims of Anime.
Hello!
Hello. And
that's all I could think of to say.
And that's all we need. So, we're here with some of the news of the week, and as we were talking about beforehand, not too much in the way of really things worth discussing. A lot of facts and figures, Gundam 00 movie did well and things like that. Probably the big fun thing is the story about this orphanage that received a bunch of school backpacks from Tiger Mask. Basically, someone left a bunch of these school backpacks on it's a child guidance center, but it's basically what they do, and it was. There was a letter on it saying, "Please use these for the children." Signed, the alter ego of Tiger Mask, who's this manga anime character who fights for children in an orphanage. So someone just left these backpacks on their doorstep, which is pretty darn awesome.
It's weird that someone would do this. No, I understand it gets the news credit out there. Someone just walking up to an orphanage and saying, "Have these backpacks," isn't newsworthy. But it's just. Why didn't he just give them to the orphanage? I don't fully understand why. Because putting it out in the news doesn't make other people want to do this sort of thing. It just makes them think, "Oh, that was cool," and that's the end of it, really. True.
So you think he should have named himself?
Yeah, I think if he was going to do it in that manner, he wanted to do it on his doorstep. He should have put his name down, because yes, having the name of an anime character is really cool, and I'm all for making otakus look good. This dude now no one will ever believe him if he ever admits the fact that he was the one that did it.
True.
So he might as well get the credit while he can, because just that little bit of fame in his life. Because I'm guessing if he has the time to do that, and the money.
The money.
Yeah, he doesn't really do much that's noteworthy in person.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, this would have cost him about $3,600.
That's a lot of money
for these 10 backpacks. And as we mentioned before the show, these backpacks are the elementary school backpacks that you see. These elementary school kids always have the red backpack. And they're meant to last through all of elementary school and all the abuse that a kid will put on these things. So they're expensive. And it is kind of interesting that he doesn't want to take the credit. Now, granted, I mean, a lot of philanthropy is based on not letting folks know. Maybe he felt that he would get too much attention. People would focus on him as opposed to focusing on the gift.
Yeah. I had a good point, and then it just completely flew out the window.
Know that feeling.
But I guess he didn't want to seem like he was doing it for the credit.
True, yeah.
But I mean, if someone's going to do something for credit, they're not going to spend $37,000 on it. On credit, getting your name out there, because he's not getting anything out of this. And the only people that win out of this really are the orphanage. Even if he made himself known, he wouldn't receive anything.
True.
Physical or otherwise, other than a thank you.
Yeah. Interesting. Would love to find out the psychology behind that, but who knows. So what else? Gonzo's return to profitability, which is good, I guess.
Yay.
They earned about somewhat under $1 million in operating profit during the period March to September of 2010. Which is a lot better than they had been doing. They were having all sorts of financial problems the past year. They worked on the animated sequences for Crackdown 2, also known as Riot Act 2, and Arcadia Saga. They're also developing a 3D project for spring 2011 with Range Murata. So it's I guess it's good to see them coming back. They've been around since 1992, amazingly enough. So yeah, I guess Gonzo's not dead.
Yeah, it's good to see a company not dying. any company really that does something related to nerdiness is a good company in my eyes.
Yeah.
Well, unless you go deeper into it. But it's nice to see that a company isn't going under, because when a company goes under, even if it's a small company, it has a ripple effect on other companies and such and such. Because if a company goes down, there's less competition, so there's less effort from other companies put in. I don't know what kind of company, or what effort, or competition there was between this company and its competitors. But, if this company died, it could have meant something drastic for any sort of animation or video game stuff. It's all that kind of stuff is good when it stays. And obviously, when it dies, it can mean something good as well, because other companies then get more money.
True. Well,
but,
and I mean, look at the credits of any given anime and how many studios work on anything. A Gonzo anime isn't made just by Gonzo; it's made by other studios as well.
Yeah.
So having Gonzo stays around means that those other studios can also stay employed with that stuff too, which is a good thing. So
definitely.
Yeah. So good to see Gonzo, and Gonzo's done some solid stuff over time. I mean, they've become a bit of a joke, but that's okay. We're gonna have these studios that pump out stuff that doesn't always come together, but they're a fixture of the anime world.
Yeah, when a company's been around, I pulled out my headphones. When a company's been around for more than a decade, it's almost 2 decades now running on. They're bound to go through a streak of poop, just rubbish stuff. It's impossible for a company to do something perfect every single time.
Right, definitely.
So it's either they're going through a rough patch and they're going to come out of it, or they're just behind the times. And they need to adapt. And if they've come out of a drop, that means they are doing well again, and so that should mean that the quality of what the stuff they're going to do is going to improve.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of times folks need that wake-up call to be willing to go and change and do something differently. I mean, I would argue that Gonzo's been coasting for the past 5 or 6 years, and maybe they need this to say, okay, let's refocus and make stuff that's really, really awesome. Who knows? Moving over to another studio, Bones has announced that they are going to finish a movie called Toa no Kwon. I'm not sure if it's a movie or an OVA or what, actually. They just said it's a project. The original director was Umanosuke Iida, who sadly passed away this past year in November. He was the one who finished Gundam 8th MS Team when the original director passed away, sadly. He also did Hellsing and Mighty Space Miners, which, if you can track it down, is awesome. So Takashi Mori, who worked on Otaku no Video, Gunsmith Cats, and Van Dread, is basically the new director, with Toshihiro Kawamoto doing character designs. Now, that's a big name. That's Bebop. That's Wolf's Rain. Great seeing him getting some work again. And a bunch of other mecha folks getting involved. What's interesting is I'm curious. I'm wondering if this is a case where this may not have gotten as much attention or as many folks involved if he hadn't passed away, and so this is going to get a lot of really cool people involved so that it actually gets done. I mean, I wonder if this would have been just sort of a mediocre piece without his passing.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Really, it's ifs and buts.
Sure.
But obviously, since it's passed, a lot of quite interesting people or noteworthy people have gotten involved.
Yeah.
And we couldn't say they'd have got involved in any way if he'd have obviously stayed alive. I'm not saying he needed to die.
Right,
but,
for sure.
But if he hadn't passed away, the film may have taken a totally different direction in its creation process, really.
Yeah. Well,
and we might even see it. Was this like halfway through production or in any way?
They don't say. They basically say that the project was in production, and then he passed off. So it's very much unclear what's going on. It could also be, I mean, quite honestly, it could be that all these folks were involved already, and they're just announcing, well, he passed away, and here are the folks who are working on it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way to tell if these people got involved after the passing is if we see a notable difference in not exactly quality, but direction and style.
Yeah.
And narrative, obviously. When it's released, if halfway through the film, it's not exactly in your face.
Yeah.
Because no anime director is that stupid. Well, I say that. But, no one's going to make that big a mistake, but it will be something if you analyse it and look at it closely, rather than just sit on your couch and watch it with some popcorn. You will notice some sort of stylistic change, maybe even an art change, because sometimes getting the art of another director or artist right is virtually impossible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we might see characters look obviously not completely different, but slightly different.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting how they avoid something like that.
Yeah, it's certainly hard to take an existing work and it's hard to take an existing work and just change the director, much less all of the staff. So, and this is a guy. I mean, he worked on Hellsing, Cowboy Bebop, Big O, 8th MS Team. He worked on Nausicaa, Origin, Shangri-La, Tideline Blue, Van Dread, Yukikaze. And this is certainly someone who has a lot of street cred. So it'd be very interesting to see if, again, maybe it was just his name that got folks involved. Interesting.
Yeah. We spoke about something similar recently as well. A director or at least some sort of leading figure in an anime film passing away and it getting picked up.
Wasn't it Satoshi Kon's film?
Well, if Satoshi Kon recently passed away,
he did. Yeah.
Then it was. I think it was Satoshi Kon's.
Yeah.
The film we talked about a similar thing.
Yeah. He passed on, and the folks at Madhouse said, "Don't worry, we'll finish it." And of course that was easier because it was I think something like 3/4 done. So you got plenty of stuff to base it off of. But yeah, and if nothing else, it's good to see that as sad as it is, that the passing of a director doesn't mean that the thing gets dropped.
Yeah.
We have plenty of cases where, in fact, Money Space Miners is a good example, where they ran out of money, 2/3 of the way through and had to stop. And it's good to see that if it's good, folks will make sure that it comes out. Yeah.
Well, saying that way can give us high hopes for the OVA film in general, because if it's a good enough concept for a big head figure like
good point,
the guy that worked on Bebop and such, then it must be good for the public. It's not just something that people thought, I could get a bit of an extra money out of this. It's something that hardcore directors and famous anime figures or anime creating figures want to be in, and so we can at least hope that it's going to come out looking nice and spiffy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a sad thing, but it may have a good result.
Yeah,
that way. So what else? There's the Anime Contents Expo. The we don't want to go to Tokyo, so we're going to make our own convention.
Yeah, you said this had something to do with the Youth Ordinance Bill.
Yeah.
In what way?
Basically, a bunch of the companies that were going to go to Tokyo International Anime Fair announced they're not going to go because of the Tokyo Youth Ordinance Bill. And then
it's specific to Tokyo.
Yes, exactly. And in fact, the guy who runs Tokyo International Anime Fair, I think, is like the governor of Tokyo. Or if not the governor, he's a high up person who is like involved in the Tokyo Youth Ordinance Bill amendment. So everyone a lot of folks